Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the TALL classes. Why TALL? Remember, T is for technology and all ALL is because all of us need it. Thank you for being here. We are happy to connect through WhatsApp. Since all of you are new to this class and format, please keep your mobile phones switched on. Yes, please keep your mobile phones switched on and not off. We have already given you the link to connect in the WhatsApp group. You can put all your questions in the chat box whenever you want. Please do not ring. We do not accept phone calls from students. If you get disconnected by any chance, please log in to the link once again which has been sent to you from my WhatsApp number 9818951003. We start today's class like every day with a small prayer praising the eternal Guru. For the Guru, the Almighty, is not only our creator but also our ultimate teacher.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
These online classes will initially be taken by me, Sandeep Sen. LinkedIn profile sent to all of you through the WhatsApp from Kolkata, and Ashish Mehta from Pune, a professor at IIT and an expert in blockchain and cyber security. Others from our 1,000-strong IIT IIM alumni group shall join later. So now I will answer the frequently asked question that all of you have possibly in mind. Who should attend this class? Well, the answer is very simple. All technology users, that is those who use computers, mobile phones and the internet. Why? Now, education once used to be acquiring knowledge in arts, science, law, architecture, engineering, medicine and management, maybe a few others. But now no longer. There are many new age areas like investment where there are simply no schools. Nobody teaches you how to make wealth from stocks and shares, bonds and deposits, oil and commodities, or gold and real estate. But to be rich in this new age world, you must know all this. How many of you want to be rich? Let us see. There are lots of whys. So you must know, if you want to be rich and if you want to invest in stocks, you must know about fundamental analysis and technical analysis. You must learn how to decipher the market movements from the charts. You must know about trading volumes, about how to short and how to hedge. In short, you must be financially literate and invest and trade to gain market experience and expertise. I think you will now think that you have already missed out quite a lot. by going through only conventional education. Another way of being rich is to improve your technology literacy. New technology fields are opening up faster than institutions or engineering college can teach them. The real opportunities to earn wealth as an employee or as an entrepreneur, even without being an engineer or learning programming, is today. Remember, there are just 3 engineers for every 1,000 people in the vast mobile phone industry, which employs millions. You don't have to study engineering to get employed in Amazon, in Zomato, or in Big Basket. But you must know what the technology is about, what is happening, how the delivery processes are done, and all the jing bang which every technology and business application tells you about. So this course provides you technology literacy, which, like financial literacy, will be your gateway to the future. With expert guidance from the industry leaders that you will receive in the 3rd semester. No, it does not train you for a government job, but it trains you for much more. Especially, it is recommended for those who want to be rich and successful and famous. All technology users, those who use computers and the internet, must know about technology for all, TOL, because we explained to you 10 technologies, 10 cutting-edge technologies of the future. It is like financial literacy. This provides technology literacy to take you ahead. Now, let me ask you a question. Please mention your profession or your interest in the WhatsApp chat box. And let me see. Student, singer, doctor, technician, postgraduate, model, unemployed. Okay, there is a lot. And someone said singer, and someone said a doctor, and another said a model. So let us see these diverse professions and why they should need technology. Why should a singer, a fashionista, or a doctor study technology? Let us see. समझा नहीं? Okay. Shall say in हिंदी. एक गायक, एक मॉडल और एक डॉक्टर क्यों टेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ेगा? क्योंकि स्टेज पे गाने के लिए अलग अलग म्यूजिक का सही मिश्रण करने के लिए पता करना पड़ेगा कि टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, और इसमें टेक्नोलॉजी का अत्यधिक प्रयोग हो रहा है आज के दिन में. तो हर इंस्ट्रूमेंट, हर मिक्सिंग टेक्नोलॉजी अलग अलग होता है, साउंड टेक्नोलॉजी अलग होता है और लाइटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी अलग होता है. अगर आपको म्यूजिक शो करना है तो आपको टेक्नोलॉजी जानना बहुत जरूरी है. नाउ कमिंग बैक टू इंग्लिश. फॉर मॉड्यूलेशन, for rhythm, for mixing music and coordination, you require technology. Yamaha QY20 music sequencer, Pro Tools and Melodyne. This is what Borg an Icelandic singer says, "Without technology, I would have been lost." Now I am sending this video to you in WhatsApp, and you can yourself see what she says.
In an interview with The Guardian, Björk, the Icelandic singer, said, "I see myself as someone who builds bridges between the human things we do every day and technology." She was an early adopter of groundbreaking technologies, such as the Yamaha QY20 music sequencer, Pro Tools, and Melodyne. But it is not only singers and dancers, but medics and radiologists who benefit. FDA-cleared deep learning AI-powered platform allows for faster radiology image examination and reduces missed detections. It has completely changed how body scans are conducted and diagnosed by radiologists. And let's not forget the fashion industry, where technology is reshaping design and production, creating a seamless blend of creativity and innovation. The future is here, and it's all about harnessing technology to enhance our daily lives.
Second is radiologist, a doctor. Why should a doctor learn technology? Because today radiologist uses technology like no other, because it gives faster radiology results, it gives better image examination, and it reduces the missed detections. Earlier, when you had to see an X-ray, you would make a lot of errors because the X-ray was not very clear. But today, when the machine reads the X-ray and gives the report, then the accuracy is almost 95%. They don't miss out small fractures, hairline fractures, swellings. They give a report of the entire thing. So it is the use of technology which has improved the accuracy, which has improved the speed, and it has improved the examination procedure. So that's why a doctor requires technology. And what about the fashionista? Well, smart textiles, wearables, digital manufacturing, it is all about technology. And this is what some of the biggest fashion models, Gigi and Bella Hadid, say. They are experts at using technology, they are new generation models, and how they use technology. I am sending you that video clip also in your WhatsApp.
The top half for me is perfection. I love the way the neck is. I love the open back. And I really love the skirt, you guys. The more I look at it too, the ruching of like even the front of it, like if there was
Yeah, but that's when it's standing still. You can't just make a look that just stands there. You just wouldn't wear it how it is.
I would put it with a jean and I would let
but
the
that's not what
bottom
she
part
showed
put
us.
over. Well, I style myself. I can style it.
When it was moving on the runway, she felt differently, and like
Now you guys are seeing what I've been seeing for 25 years.
So technology for all classes is for all those who use smartphone, computers, and internet. How many of you use internet? Please write why. Okay, that is nearly all of you. So rest assured, all of you would benefit from this course, which teaches you the basic 10 cutting-edge technologies that will rule the world during the next decade. And now that you have joined the course, please remember to tell your friends and family about your experience. If it is good, please tell them, and if it is not so good, please tell us so that we can improve. If anyone of your friends joins the class with your recommendation, remember you pay rupees 400 for the next month instead of 500. We charge only rupees 500 a month initially for this online session. For all other details, please WhatsApp at 9818951003. In the mid 70s, after the Vietnam War, the US Army wanted computers to talk and communicate long distances with each other. Why? क्या हुआ था? मिड 70s में वियतनाम में युद्ध हुआ था जिसमें अमेरिकन सोल्जर्स वियतकॉन्ग से बहुत बुरी तरह से हरा दिए गए थे. अमेरिकन सोल्जर्स बगैर तैयारी के वियतनाम में घुस पड़े थे और वहाँ पे बमबारी खूब किया, पर जब वो नीचे गए तो उन्हें जंगल ही जंगल दिखा और उनका कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम फेल हो गया. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इज दैट द कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम ऑफ द अमेरिकन ट्रूप्स फेल्ड व्हेन दे रीच्ड द ग्राउंड लेवल ऑफ operations. Because of the dense forest, because of the heavy rainfall, so the communication system literally failed. Now, because the communication system failed, the US lost the war. And when the US soldiers returned, the commanders wanted to set up a system where the communication would not fail. Means the commanders sitting at Pentagon in Washington could communicate with the ground staff or the lower level army who were fighting the actual war. They wanted to develop such a system, but such a system was not easy to develop. There was nothing like that. So they wanted the computers to communicate with each other. There was a method, and American scientists were trying many things at that time. So one way was by sending data packets or writing code and transmitting it through radio waves. Now, radio wave transmission had been successfully used during the First World War and the Second World War. दोनों युद्ध के समय रेडियो ट्रांसमिशन यूज कर दिया था. आपको याद होगा मॉर्स कोड करके एक होता था, एंड मॉर्स कोड वाज यूज्ड एंड दिस डेटा कुड बी ट्रांसमिटेड इजीली थ्रू रेडियो वेव्स. So that was possible. But when they downloaded it and they tried to distribute it amongst the computers, the exercise which looked simple became impossible. They just could not transmit the downloaded data from computer to computer because of various problems. After this data downloaded at Menlo Park, California, it took an unexpected 10 years to transmit the data from one computer to another computer and create a local area network. Now let me tell you what is a local area network and why it took so much time. So US at that time was the technology leader, and IBM was making supercomputers. They were called the Big Blue, and they were the pioneers in supercomputers. So each of the institutions, US institutions like Stanford or Berkeley had very high number of supercomputers, like 500, 200 or something like that. So all these supercomputers were something, it was about 20 feet or 40 feet long computers, and they were huge machines with huge cooling systems, and they were chugging out the data and they were storing the data. It was a very primitive system, but that is how it was. So there were a network of supercomputers who could store a little bit of data. That is how it all started. So these supercomputers were storing a few data. I remember we had one in Kolkata also, and it was with a consultancy unit called Development Consultants in Park Street where I worked, and it used to take 2 days for it to do a normal iteration, and we had to put in a card, and after 2 days the iteration not complete or the iteration complete, that used to be the answer only. So it used to be a very difficult process those days, and the exercise which looked simple was actually a very complicated one. So I will send you a clip in the WhatsApp group in which I will tell you that how these researchers faced the problem. And the SRI computer, the Stanford Research Institute computer, crashed after putting in just 2 words, LO. Not even, they could not even say LOG for log. So the computer crashed, and this is how it was in the early days. This is which happened. But slowly we got over all this, and the National Science Foundation created the NSF net. Now this was before the internet. So the NSF net provided the first internet backbone in the US in 1986 with 56 kbps circuits. Initially around 2000 computers in educational institutions were connected with LAN. 5 years later, 2 million users across US were connected free of cost, and the network had to be upgraded to 45 megabits per second. This was way before the internet of 1991 to 1993 by Tim Berners-Lee.
All we wanted to do was to log in from our host computer at UCLA to the SRI host computer, said Leonard Kleinrock, a computer scientist at UCLA. We needed to transmit the letters log to SRI, at which point the SRI host would add the letters in to complete the word login. However, only the first 2 letters, lo, went through before the host computer at SRI crashed.
Meanwhile, Tim Berners-Lee and his team at CERN in Europe were connecting the personal computers at CERN Geneva. So whereas the US internet of NSF net was different, these people evolved a system in which they slowly connected the entire world. So the first generation mobile network 1G was then introduced, and it could transmit voice but through analog signals. So that was the beginning of the internet as we know today, that analog signals and voice transmission was done through the internet by CERN Geneva. So that is the early days of the internet. The first generation of cellular network technology had multiple claim holders. Means there were various researches taking place all over the world, and multiple inputs were there. So in 1979, Nippon Telegraph and Telephone (NTT) launched the world's first cellular network in Japan. The NSF net was launched in the US. But the total worldwide web, which connected all over the world, was first done by Tim Berners-Lee of CERN, and that is why it is called the World Wide Web. Now, this required certain standards, some telecommunication standards to be written. They were developed by ETSI, the Standards Organization of Europe, and the first G standard, which referred to the first generation of cellular network technology, was written by the ETSI. These analog telecommunication standards were introduced in 1979 and continued till the mid-80s, when the 2G telecommunication network replaced it. The main difference between the two mobile generations is that 1G and other systems, the audio was encoded as analog radio signals through call setup and other network communications. And the digital communication came only after the call setup was finalized, while 2G networks were entirely digital. And the first generation of cellular network, which was the analog, is called 1G, and this was replaced by the 2G telecommunication network. Now, the first handheld mobile phone was demonstrated by Martin Cooper of Motorola on New York City on 3rd April 1973. Now, that was about a 2 kg or a 5 pound phone, 4.4 pounds exactly, and it used to be a heavy handset, but that was the original handset which was being used, and you had to book intercity calls by booking a trunk call through telephone exchanges. Now, what was the system then? That you had to book a call by going to the telephone exchanges. At that time, there were no direct communication system, but all the communication was handled by the post office or the post and services department, and you had to go over there to the telephone exchange to make an intercity call and wait over there for days till that call materialized. You never knew when that call would materialize, and whenever that call would materialize, you could speak for a few minutes. But there was no other way of communication. So this was the early days, and you were doing the call booking through a method which was called the trunk call. It was also a time when the bulky film reels were physically carried by runners from film movie halls to movie halls in the same small town, so that all the film lovers could see the movie on the same day. There were big reels which these runners would pick up from one movie hall and run to the next movie hall, place it over there, and you would see the 3-hour movie over there. Then they would take that reel again to the third movie hall, and you could see the film over there. So when the first mobile phones were introduced, in that period, it was really a big marvel. And that mobile phone I am talking about is the 5 kg mobile phone, because nobody had expected that mobile phone would come so quickly. But Motorola made it happen, and that mobile phone was a reality. Although the connectivity was very poor, but that was the first phone which came in the hands of the people. And people understood that yes, there will be a day when we would leave the telecom communication, the handheld phones which were run through cables and which used trunk calls. People understood that one day we would get out from that era and would come to the mobile phone era. So that was the early gains, and it happened first sometime in 1973. So we know that the mobile phones which we feel have started after Apple in 2000, post 2000, were actually started 25 years ago, and they were the first mobile phones, and Apple came much later. iPhone came much later, much later, about 30 years later. Now we were used to landlines then, and those landlines were our lifeline of communication. If there was rain or rough weather, we would have to face that, and communication would be totally disrupted.
The World Wide Web was introduced by CERN to the public in 1991-1993 period. Soon, many of us had internet connections, but we were still dependent on an overground cable connection for the last mile of connectivity, making the entire system unpredictable. Those were early days of the internet era. Every time there was bad weather, the internet connection would get disrupted.
Now I will tell you, for some of the people over here who are wanting a Hindi brief also, is that शुरू में ये जो इंटरनेट का कनेक्शन था वो NSF नेट करके अमेरिका में एस्टैब्लिश हुआ था, जो कि 1986 के आसपास था। तो वहाँ पे 56 kbps के सर्किट के थ्रू सुपर कंप्यूटर्स, करीब 2000 सुपर कंप्यूटर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट में कनेक्ट कर दिए गए थे। 5 साल बाद उन्होंने फ्री में 20 लाख लोगों को यूएस में नेटवर्क से कनेक्ट किया था 45 मेगाबिट्स पर सेकेंड। जापान ने भी अपना सिस्टम शुरू किया था 1979 में, और जापान में एनटीटी ने किया था, और उनका भी जापानीज कंप्यूटर्स को कनेक्ट करने का उन्होंने भी अपना इंटरनेट शुरू कर दिया था। पर जो चला था वो यूरोप में टिम बर्नर्स ली, जो सर्न के साइंटिस्टों को लेके उन्होंने एक सिस्टम किया जो कि सारा दुनिया को जोड़ सके, और उसके लिए उन्होंने 1G कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम वो किया, और उन्हीं ने शुरुआत किया इंटरनेट का, जो कि हम आज के दिन देख रहे हैं। Now this is a century old story, how the phone and the mobile phone came. In 1908, the first claim of developing a wireless telephone was done by Professor Albert Jargon and the Oakland Transcontinental Aerial Telephone Power Company. Later on, it was found to be a fraud. And much later, in 1917, the Finnish inventor Erik Tigerstedt successfully filed a patent for a pocket-sized folding telephone with a very thin carbon microphone. In 1918, the German railroad system tested a wireless telephony for military purposes between Berlin and Zossen. And then there was regular public trials with telephone connection between Berlin and Hamburg. In 1925, the German Dutch Reinsberg and the German mail service had given the telephone as a feature to all first class travelers in their trains. Now, what happened? The Second World War saw the radio telephony power center shift. You see, anybody who wins a war takes all the technologies and puts it under their name. So this is exactly what happened. We don't know what was invented by the Germans and what was ultimately sold as American inventions. The United States engineers from Bell Labs slowly after the war became the monopoly producer of technology and mobile phones. Lot of it, people say, was appropriated from Japanese and the Germans who had lost the war. In the USSR, a parallel size of pocket-sized communication radios started from 1957 to 1961. Similarly, in Bulgaria and in other small European countries, there was this. Now, the 1G network, which we have seen, started, and after that the 2G network was put up by the ETSI from Europe. At that time, massive 600 feet telecom towers were set up by the postal department for the communication between mobile phones. One mobile phone to another mobile phone was very poor, and it was only through this tower communication, which was set up by the postal department, that the voice would go. You had to stand in the middle of the road and shout on the telephone to get your voice through. And seeing this, comedian Ernie Wise, dressed in a coachman's garb, made the first mobile call in Britain from Dickens pub in St. Catherine's Dock to Vodafone headquarters in the mid-80s.
That was early 70s, well before the internet age. We were used to landlines then, connecting through a 5-pound fixed-line telephone instrument, and intercity calls were done by booking a trunk call through telephone exchanges. It was a time when bulky film reels were physically carried by runners from theater to theater so that moviegoers in small towns could see the same film during the day. So the first mobile phones, a handheld wireless device from Motorola with an extractable antenna, were a real novelty. Massive 600-foot telecom towers usually set up by the postal departments were few and far between, however, and mobile connectivity was very rudimentary those days. Comedian Ernie Wise, dressed in a coachman's garb, made the first mobile call in Britain from the Dickens pub in St. Catherine's Dock to Vodafone headquarters in the mid-80s.
Now, at that time, the GSM standards, which was the global system for media communication, or the GSM architecture, was developed by the ETSI, or the European Telecom Standards Institute. they formulated the second G, wireless communication, which was a digital communication and which was adopted worldwide. You could not only communicate through voice, but you could also communicate through digital signals. And the first phones in which this was available was Motorola, followed by Nokia, Ericsson and Samsung. For 10 years, these were the four major brands which were available. At that time, Apple and BlackBerry phones had not yet arrived. Okay, so now we have finished this course of today, and next Monday's class will be held by Ashish Mehta from Pune, a professor at IIT who teaches blockchain, digital technologies and cyber security. Before I take leave, once again I will remind you about why you need to attend these tall classes and how it will benefit you. Who should attend these classes? All technology users, that is all who use computers and who use smartphones and who use the internet. Now, education once used to be acquiring knowledge in science, in arts, in commerce, in law, in engineering, medicine and architecture and management. Maybe a few others, but not anymore. Today, a lot of things are taught outside these domains. There are many new age areas like investment where there are simply no schools. Nobody teaches you how to make wealth from stocks and shares, from bonds and deposits, from oil and commodities or gold and real estate. But to be rich in this new age world, one must know all this. You must know about fundamental analysis and technical analysis, learn how to decipher market movements from charts. You must know about trading volumes and about how to short and how to hedge. In short, you must be financially literate and invest and trade to gain market experience and expertise. And just like financial literacy, there is another way of being rich, that is to improve your technology literacy. New technology fields are opening up faster than institutions or engineering colleges can teach them. They offer real opportunities to earn wealth as an employee or as an entrepreneur, even without being an engineer or learning programming. Remember, there are just 3 engineers for every 1,000 people that the vast mobile phone industry employs, and employees are in millions. You don't have to study engineering to get employed in Amazon, in Zomato or in Big Basket or any other. So this course provides you technology literacy just like financial literacy and will be the gateway to your future with expert industry guidance that you will receive in the 3rd semester from our 1,000-strong IIT IIM alumni group. No, it does not train you for a government job, but for much more, especially for those who want to be rich and famous and successful. And I think that is all of you. So, if you want to know about the 10 cutting edge technologies, the basics of the 10 cutting edge technologies that will change the next decade, please join the course. And if you have joined the course, please remember to tell your friends about your experience. If your experience is not good, tell us, give us the feedback, we will improve. And if your experience is good, please tell them to join and learn. For remember that you pay rupees 400 for the next month instead of rupees 500 if any of your friends joins with your recommendation. For all other details, please WhatsApp at 9818951003. Thank you for today. Bye bye. See you next week.